Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA, and I'm so excited for today's interview. This is with Alex Mandossian. Hi, Alex.
Karen, where are you today?
I'm in sunny San Diego, California. Where are you?
I'm in hot and sunny and dry Scottsdale, Arizona.
Are you? Nice, nice, nice. Well, Alex is a darling soul. How many years? I've known you probably 8, 9 years, something like that. I mean,
At least.
Every time we see each other, big hugs. This guy has been around internet marketing and selling stuff online. How many years? How many years,
Well,
Alex?
since 1995, I'm a dinosaur. They call me a BG marketer before Google was even invented. So I've been around a while.
I've bought your stuff. Your first program that I bought was like a telesummit program, like how to do telesummits. Like you've done I was a student of yours, and then I ended up running into you at events, and I don't know, I just adore you. I think you're a wonderful soul. And so I am so honored to have you here, because the guy who has been selling online for so many years has so much data and so much gold that I asked him to be on this interview to talk about strategies for the e-tailers, for people who are selling information and products and whatever online. So Alex, you want to give us your background fully, and then we'll get into what we're going to be talking about today. I'm super excited for everybody.
Yeah, I've been doing electronic marketing since I got out of college. I graduated from University of California at Irvine, which is in Southern California in Orange County. Yeah. I got not 1, but 2 degrees, one in psychology, one in economics. I was not hireable. I didn't interview very well. I had a lot of hubris, still do. And I went into interviews very cocky, thinking I knew more than the boss. And so they never hired me. So I told my mom and dad, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. My first outing, I opened up a frozen yogurt and bakery store in George and Carol Mandossian, and my grandparents that left me some money. And me, we lost $242,000 in a retail store in Long Beach, California. It was called.
I'm laughing at with you, but I'm sorry.
You can laugh with me, at me. You know, I've been
whatever. It sounded rude that I was laughing that you were saying that, but you know.
Well, after 18 months, they were selling my equipment, the SBA, Small Business Administration, for 17 cents on the dollar. I was comatose, and I had to move home with mom. My girlfriend kicked me out at the time. I wasn't very fun to be with. On the way, I stopped at MacArthur Park, which is still in Los Angeles, California, because I didn't want to move home. I was there on a park bench. I love to say it was winter. It was cold. It was freezing like New York City, but it wasn't. It was summer. It was comfortable. It was about 85 degrees. And I was watching this heavy elderly lady. She was, on the heavy set side, and she was feeding pigeons. And the reason her heaviness is relevant is because she would get down on one knee after getting the bird seed from the machine, which was only a nickel back then. And she would try to get the pigeons to come to the palm of her hand and feed from her hand. Well, I watched this whole thing happen for about 10 minutes, and finally she was successful. But what she did is she moved and walked towards the pigeons slowly, just the way we do with our prospects, our candidates, our leads, right? We got to move towards them slowly so they're not afraid and they don't fly away. And when they were moving away from her, they would move like pigeons, they'd move away. She would keep showing the bird seed, which is the ethical bribe or the bait or the lead magnet, whatever the heck you want to call it. And then she turned around and she moved away from them, and they moved towards her because she showed the bait, the bribe, the lead magnet. And it went back and forth like a dance until finally she got down on one knee, and then a pigeon came and fed from her hand. And from that moment forward, after the first pigeon, all of them fed from her hand. Now, I wasn't thinking marketing back then. 10 years later, it became a central metaphor and my origin story. But I noticed if you sell too hard, they fly away. If you're too coy and shy to polarize them and to at least give them a reason to buy, in this case, eat bird seed, like you got to show them the bait the whole time. You can't just ignore them. Well, then they won't follow you. You got to go back and forth, do the dance, and over time, someone will come on board, and then everyone started to come and feed from her hand. And then they remember her to the next day, which is called the back end. So I was there for about 3 days. I watched this whole thing, totally depressed, went home. But prior to going home, I saw this little kid. He looked like he was 5 or 6 years old. He was there with his mom. He wanted the result the old lady had. And the old lady was the pigeon lady now. They're pooping on her head, and that's all good luck in my culture, right? And this kid runs at the pigeons, and they fly away. So he gets pissed, and he doesn't have any patience, right? There's no courting happening like in dating, and there's no crawling, walking, running. He throws the birdseed at him, and then he's completely disgruntled, and he walks away. Never had the beak to hand relationship like the lady did. He wanted the result she had. He wasn't willing to go through the evolution of the result. And I learned that day, and this is 10 years later, in 1999, when I had my first information product, that you got to court your prospect, the candidate, the lead, whatever you call them. And you got to go, whether it's through autoresponders, personal meetings, SMS text, WhatsApp, Facebook group, whatever it is, you have to build the temperature up until you get to the boiling point, which is steam. So they're going from ice to cold water to warm water to hot water, then to steam. Those are 5 levels of conversion, which we won't talk about today, but that's what you got to go through. And I realized that that became an origin story of how to market. And I've done that ever since. I had $1 million year in 2003. I had $1 million quarter 2004. I had $1 million week in 2005, $1 million day in 2006. I had $1 million hour in 2007. It was a magical moment with 2 other partners, Rick Raditz and Armin Morin. And I've been very fortunate. Now, my mentees or my students have become my teachers, Vishen Lakhani, Ryan Dice, Perry Belcher, and the list goes on. And it's annoying sometimes, Russell Brunson, but they're smarter than I am. So my, I guess, unique ability is turn my students into my mentors, and I'm very proud to be one of them.
You do have a unique ability of just rocking out online. And I love that story. I love that metaphor. And it's, trust me, for someone who's been selling online for so many years, myself as well, you're 100% accurate. And for those of you who are selling products online, products anywhere, you've probably all experienced that too. So it's a beautiful metaphor. Thank you for that story. Okay, well, Alex, let's talk about some strategies, some good stuff for people today. What we're going to be covering, guys, is masterminding for digital retailers. So really the concept here, and he's going to talk a little bit more about this, is how do you create synergy with other people in a high intensive way to generate leads, generate revenue and success. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's high impact, it's high profit, and it's low cost to implement. It's even low effort. And I've never taught this to anyone else other than my 30,000 and 100K clients, because there are lots of moving parts. And if you get one of them wrong, like a puzzle or a combination to a lock, it doesn't work. But I've taken about a 3-day event and turned it into about 55 minutes. Let's see how we do.
And the beautiful thing about Alex is I said, I want to interview you. And he's like, well, what do we talk about? Because, you know, there's like a ton of stuff we could talk about. He's like, I want to do something cool. I want to do something interesting. So thank you. He put some time into it. He's got these little cards in his hand. He put some effort into this. So I'm excited, not to stress you out, Alex, but I want to honor you that you took the time here. So let's talk about masterminding. What does that really mean?
Okay, so it could be masterminding for info marketers. It could be masterminding for single moms. It could be masterminding for high net worth individuals. But this is called masterminding for digital retailers. And the one thing about digital retail that's different than most info marketing is info marketers are pimps, okay? And what that means is if they don't get the sale, they give up on the person. Now, not all, but most of them are. Whereas a digital retailer, like a retail store, they'll have a lead magnet or maybe a loss leader. Let's say at Home Depot, it's WD-40, just to get you in the store. They're losing on it, but they're going to put it in the back of the store so that you can go all the way to the back and pick a bunch of stuff off. Also, like the upsell at the counter, at the cash register at Barnes & Noble, there's still a few around, and you're just picking up like 10 bucks here, 7 bucks there. Let's say the National Enquirer at the grocery stores, or the gum. Those are all ways to bump up the sale. They're add-ons, cross sales, upsells, and then there's loss leaders. Digital retailers know how to build markets, whereas info marketers typically look how to infiltrate markets. They go in and then they go out. They're kind of like G.I. Joe, SWAT teams. They go in and out, whereas the retailers, especially Amazon sellers, they have to build a following. And sometimes they have, I know one, my good friend Mark Tin has 70,000 products. And it's all in the way he's describing them. It's all in the way he's bringing them in through the experience. And he wants them to come back again and again and again. Just like any retail store, the first sale is not the thing. Just like the old lady, it wasn't the first beak to hand relationship. It was the rest of the beaks that came with those other pigeons. Pigeons aren't stupid. They're actually smart. When there's food, they'll follow it, but you got to show the food. So the first question is, what is a mastermind, right? I mean, people would want to know what's a mastermind. You probably have heard of it. It goes back to biblical times, whether it was the Buddha who had apostles, Jesus had apostles, Muhammad had apostles of sorts. He didn't call them that. So every religious tradition has had these apostles or followers who spread the word after the leader was gone posthumously. And that's a mastermind. Now, Napoleon Hill made it famous when he wrote Think and Grow Rich, but this concept's been around for a long, long time. And so a mastermind in this context for digital marketers is a business network of like-minded professionals. Now, what's a professional? The difference between an amateur and a professional is a professional has made $1 or more. So if you're going to be in a mastermind, don't be in a mastermind with someone who's about to start a digital retail business or info marketing business. Be with one that has made X number of dollars so you have something in common, because a startup and one that's making over $500,000 a year are two completely different people in the room, and one won't relate to the other. You can have a mastermind of startups, but then you better ascend them to a mastermind of $500,000 and a mastermind of $1 million or more, 5 million or more. And that's what Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coach has done for nearly 30 years. And he has a high 8-figure business. So that's what a mastermind is. It's a business network. It's not like Business Network International. It's not a meetup group where we met one time in San Rafael where we kind of caught up again. That's not a mastermind. A mastermind meets again and again and again. And I like paid masterminds. They're high end, which means high profit. They are high impact because it's relationship capital you're trading, and it's low effort if you do it the right way. Most people don't know how to do it the right way, and it's like they're opening up a restaurant. They got to work. They're humiliated because there are not a lot of people showing up, and they lost money. And that's what a workshop is as well. It's kind of like the restaurant business. It doesn't have to be that way, and we're going to put an end to that in the next 45 minutes.
I love that. And by the way, I mean, there's, meetups and stuff like that. A lot of people start there. They go to like a meetup group. It's not the same as an actual, I'm sitting here with a group of people who have the same exact experience as me. We're all paying to be here, to work together, to understand what each other has and supporting each other and so forth. So agree, there are distinctions for that. So you are correct.
If they pay, that's the vetting. So I belong to one here in Scottsdale, but it's all over the world. It's called Genius Network, and my friend Joe Polish put it together. I belong to War Room, which was Perry Belcher and Ryan Dice and Roland Fraser. Perry has since moved on. That was $30,000. I belong to one with Harvey McKay, which was $75,000. So I've seen some for over $100,000. And it just depends on what the goal is. I'm going to talk about a very unique type for digital retailers that no one's ever done. I've facilitated 2 of them. And, part of the reason I like to do it, because I think I've earned the right to do it.
You have earned the right. And actually, so I'm in War Room and Genius as well. And they were actually, Joe has been interviewed, and so are those other guys, Ryan and all them. So we talked about this. So if you haven't seen the other interviews, definitely check it. These guys are part of it. You can learn about Mastermind.
They're smarter than me.
So what is profitable for digital retailers?
Okay, well, first, the reason I've earned the right is I've done over 70 masterminds in the past 25 years. So I've facilitated them, I put them together. And if it's $25,000 or more, people pay me 1 slot. So they pay me $25K to teach them how to put it together. And essentially, I'm going to teach you how to do it now. Now, before you think about creating a digital retailer mastermind, you got to know 4 laws. And these are the laws of cause and effect. They're happening all the time. They're happening all around you. These are universal laws. And you may not have called them these things, but you need to know what they are because they happen in your business all the time. The first law is the law of expansion. Everything big was once small. Okay. All of us was 1/50,000th of our size. We kind of look like a tadpole. Our father released us. Our mother received us, whether you were born in a petri dish or not. We were small and we got bigger. The Big Bang, if you believe in it, it was once small and now it's expanding. It's big. So law of expansion. You take a pear seed, it turns into a pear tree. It becomes big. An acorn turns into an oak tree. A business starts with an idea. Steve Jobs in a garage. Bill Gates sleeping under his desk. And this idea turns into something big. In Apple's case, one of the two most profitable companies in the world. Backrub was a search engine in 1998 that turned into Google. Okay, everything big was once small. So if you're small, there is a law of expansion, but you must start that way. You can't start big. And that's what that young kid wanted. He wanted to have what that old lady had in the park, at MacArthur Park. But you have to evolve. Evolution is natural, and that's the same thing in a retail business. Law number 2 is the law of likeness. Now, this is a very simple one, and it's hard to describe. Seeds of a fruit are the same fruit, meaning you can't take a human seed and turn it into sheep yet, okay? You can't take an apple seed and turn it into a pear tree. So you can't take a manufacturing business and turn it into a finance business unless you change things. Let's take General Electric. Well, it manufactures things, and it's also financing, and finance is the most profitable division of it. You take General Motors, another General, it started manufacturing with a bunch of car divisions, and then General Motors Finance is its most profitable division. So you can have different divisions, but the car manufacturer can't produce finance, it produces cars. So the seeds of the fruit can only produce its own fruit. That's very, very important because people change niches too fast and then they don't have market share, especially in digital retail. That's the second law of cause and effect. The third is every effect must have a cause. That's called the law of cause. So everything you do was caused by something. So take accountability. If you're broke, something happened. It may have been mental, it may have been physical, it may have been spiritual, it may have been optical, you may have embarrassed yourself and something happened, but there was a cause to it. And guess what? You were part of that cause. People, I never overestimate the power of denial. I have 2 teenagers. They're great kids. But denial's pretty, strong with people, especially in business. If it's time to shut the doors, shut the doors. If it's time for bankruptcy, bankruptcy. But if it's time to grow, keep growing and focus on that one thing so you create that apple seed into an apple tree, because it may take a few seasons in order to it happen. And then the fourth law is the law of effect. Every cause has an effect. So if you put a money infusion into your business, it's going to have an effect. If you add a few SKUs or more products, it's going to have an effect, positive or negative. You put a cause in, the effect is going to happen no matter what. It is nature. And the key point here, I don't want to get too philosophical, but cause and effect is in the West, in Western society, Europe, US, etc. Karma is in the Far East, India, China, all the areas of the Orient. So karmic law is the same thing as cause and effect. And so with masterminding, which is a verb, when you want to mastermind with digital marketers, then it's very important to understand the 4 levels where you can increase your effect. Now, you put in a cause and you increase your effect. Now, I learned this from a Buddhist monk. He was from the West. He lived in Phoenix. He went to Tibet. He studied for 20 years in a monastery. In 600 years, he's the only Tibetan, well, he learned how to speak Tibetan, but he's the only American that turned into a Tibetan monk. He wrote a book. He wrote 3 books. And he started a diamond cutting company in New York City, knowing nothing. And using these 4 laws, he turned it into a $100 million company, and Warren Buffett purchased it for $500 million. So if it's good enough for him, he's one of my mentors, okay? And it's good enough for you. So these are the 4 segments. You just saw the 4 laws, but these are the 4 segments of karmic marketing. Now, if you make these 4 segments successful as a digital retailer, they will make you successful. What goes around comes around. And this is very, very relevant. Now you have customers, you have suppliers, you have your team, people working for you, right? Vendors and independent contractors. And then you have the rest of the world. People who are not in any of those 3 groups. Customers, suppliers, your team, and the rest of the world. Now, here's the concept. Here's what he taught me. And I do this all the time. I get $30,000 clients, 2 per month, doing this. Now, you may think I'm going woo-woo and spiritual and hippie on you, but I'm not. I do it because if you believe in it, it works even better. If you don't believe in it, it still works. And the premise is, if you make all 4 segments successful, they will make you successful. So I want to introduce you to a screen share, which I call the karmic nest, the karmic marketing nest. This is the high impact, high profit, and low effort karmic nest. And it looks like this. Okay. So here's what you got. You have your customers. If you make them successful, they make you successful. Here are your suppliers, the people you get all your goods from. Like, let's say if you an envelope manufacturer, then the people you're going to get your pulp from. People who supply you electricity is a supplier. People who do Infusionsoft or Entreport or any of the ClickFunnels, Kartra, those guys are suppliers. Your merchant account, they're suppliers. You make them successful, they'll make you successful. Suppliers are ignored. Digital retailers ignore suppliers. They want to get the best prices. They don't ignore the customers because they think that's the bread and butter. But the suppliers, those are not a treasure chest full of treasure like gold and riches. They're a treasure chest full of other treasure maps. They're connected to other of your customers. And if you make them successful, they'll make you even more successful, because the more successful you are, your little me becomes a big me. And this is called the karmic echo. Finally, your team, those are the people. You don't want to just give them bonuses. Give them little acts of appreciation, and then the rest of the world.